So take a nice upright posture and forget about meditation. Forget about special states. If we use the analogy of a flower, like the flowers here on the altar, for example, it just naturally and effortlessly is open. So there is no opening, no act of opening, no act of stretching it open, pulling it open. If you think of any plant or tree, flower, blade of grass in nature, all of them are resting effortlessly. We can have many tensions in the physical body, which always, if we are physically active through work, doing things, through exercise, that will put stress on our physical body. So if there's physical stress, just let it unwind. But at the same time, our basic awareness is already open and blooming like a flower, effortlessly. So we all practice because we know that something is not right. Like something is not right. So we find yogic practice, dharma practice, in this case open heart practice, to sort it out. Open heart, open mind, clear mind, soft heart, solid body. All these three are descriptions of how, when we don't have self-deception going on in our mind, selfing going on in our mind, that's how we naturally are. With clear mind, with soft heart, and with grounded in the body. In that way, solid. It is sometimes said that I also use the description sometimes that you rest in the natural state. But that rest is a bit tricky, because rest implies, is that the word? Suggests. Rest suggests peacefulness or calmness. So that we understand the difference when we recognize basic knowing and aliveness and groundedness, we do access, we become harmonious and peaceful. But this peacefulness is not in opposition to being dynamic or being active. So this basic knowing, clarity of mind, softness of heart, and solidity of the body it concerns all kinds of actions and situations and activities. Feel me with you for a moment. You can just feel me sitting with you, just like we are sitting in this room together. This is the basic state, what I'm talking about and what the whole yogic tradition is talking about. Something very basic, which is why for a lot of people, for a lot of beings, even those who have the capability, it goes unnoticed. So each of us have a name and age and occupation, social relationships, friends, families. We have all of those. Possessions. And so on. The common human things. And it's perfectly fine. We don't need to get rid of them. We don't need to renounce all these, in citation marks, worldly things. But if we want to sort out our existential issues, then it's best done from this basic state of knowing, aliveness and groundedness. So, teachers like myself, we talk about the natural state, give instructions about the natural state, and then we also point it out through physically, energetically, just like I pointed it out in a moment of silence, asking you to just feel me with you. This is pointing out, so-called pointing out instructions. That is traditionally given in Vajrayana practice. So what did I point out to you? What did my pointing out reveal for you? Something magical? Something hugely amazing? Something great and enticing? I don't know the exact word, enticing. Something that makes you charmed about it? Of course not. When we recognize our Buddha nature, knowing, aliveness, groundedness, it is something really, so familiar to us already. No fireworks, no miracles. Just a solution to the search and confusion. That's it. And everybody knows it already, because that's the real me and real you and real everyone. Although when we actually learn to recognize it and in other words, engage in Hatha Yoga Dzogchen practice, we gain confidence about our true condition, gain familiarity with it, and then we, even though you already feel that, okay, this is the real me, when we mature in practice, also a lot of richness and depth, like flavors, like the colors of a rainbow are endless. In the same way, this richness of our basic condition is revealed. And this richness is not obvious at all in the beginning, which is where some people make the false assumption that, okay, now I have had 1 or 2 bhumi openings, awakenings, enlightenments, whatever people call it. But then they make the false assumption that, okay, this is it already, so no practice is needed. But that's where the basic mistake is. So there is a lot of depth and richness to the natural state for those who take up practice. free to change or adjust your physical posture at any time if you feel pain or numbness. But then when you sit, you should sit with straight spine, where the weight of the body is resting on the sitting bones that are in the lower part of the buttocks, sort of like in the meeting ground of buttocks and thighs. So the weight of the body rests on sitting bones, and when it does so, the spine naturally elongates, like it's firmly founded on sitting bones, and the head is resting on top of the spine. And this is not a rigid posture, it's a natural posture. The breathing flows freely in and out, and not changing it or controlling it. When we sit in a good upright posture, and then relax the soft tissues, muscles, as well as possible, then breathing naturally settles in the belly. So we don't breathe with our chest and shoulders anymore. It descends down, the movement of the breath. And when it does so, our prana or lung settles down. Back in the old days, when there wasn't the same body image that we have now in modern Western culture, people breathed with their bellies, not with their chest and shoulders. But nowadays we have the image of that, we have to have a small belly and broad shoulders, so it's the opposite. But our energy should be down, naturally down, and it happens when we breathe with our belly. When the energy comes down from the chest and head, then also, the busy mind relaxes, stops being busy. Or at least is less busy. So when we do this, sit and move when we are moving with a good posture, move naturally, with energy down, then already things, life becomes simpler and more intimate. The distance, the separation loosens its grip. With the simple yogic bodybuilding. Also, when the energy is up, people have a lot of problems with headaches, migraines, just busyness of mind, restlessness, losing sleep. But when it's down, those things, such problems are less. Having said that, there can be other causes of headaches and migraines and so on, but this definitely helps, having energy down. Take a few deep breaths, 4, 5, 6 times. Inhaling deeply, filling the belly, then filling the upper part of the lungs, and then exhaling. So that chest comes back and stomach goes back. Breathing deeply 4, 5, 6 times. Inhaling, 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 and exhaling, 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 exhaling. And again. And each exhalation adds to the relaxation of the body. And then you can leave, changing the breath. Samuli, voinko mä lainata sun kelloa? Kiitos. So with little simple instructions of having the energy down, putting the body upright and keeping the body upright, we can make already a big change in our life. There are yogic schools that focus on these very basic things. Breathing with the belly, keeping the body erect in a good position, and practicing it full time through those simple guidelines. So, do you feel grounded? Grounded means embodied, like being naturally, effortlessly in our body, instead of being, going around in the mind with thoughts, being in the mind of thoughts rather than in the body. So this is the same groundedness, solidity, the third characteristics, or you can just might as well say first characteristic, the basic characteristic of the natural state. We have 3 different bodies: physical body, energetic body or the mind, and then body of awareness. And these three bodies interpenetrate. Happen simultaneously at the same time. So the more we practice Ati Yoga and recognize this basic knowing, automatically it also should make us more embodied. Because that's the same groundedness, same solidity. With physical body we have a ground to stand on, the floor, earth. Although in the mind, the level of mind, there is no like three-dimensional floor. That's why it's said that it's groundless ground. Because there's no one standing or resting. On a ground that is not something. I understand many of you have had a long day of traveling and getting here, but please stay with me a little bit more. If you feel sleepy now or during any of the sessions we do this. Let's do this together. So consider all the muscles of your body, all of them, and then tense them. And then relax. Tense again. And relax. 3 more. And 1 more. And then assuming the same upright posture again. What we just did, in a nutshell, is what I call physical dynamic concentration, which is mentioned in the preliminary practices of open heart. And it's a wonderful way to, if you feel sleepy here, to reinvigorate yourself. Also a wonderful way to, get your muscles into shape. But it's called physical dynamic concentration. So it's the same what we do with dynamic concentration in shouting that we're doing here with physical muscle tension. So if you feel sleepy during retreat, during sessions, wake yourself up physically like this. So solid body, groundedness. Very simple thing. Feels very good and natural. How about softness of heart? This soft openness. curious thing about the natural state is that I mentioned three bodies: physical, energetic, and body of awareness. So physically we are in three-dimensional space in this room, right? Our body, and your body, my body, clearly sits in this three-dimensional space, this room. Also in our mind, when we have thoughts, emotional reactions, whatever mental events, they are things, selves, taking place, coming and going in three-dimensional mental space. If we look at our mind, we can see thought arising as if it was something that comes, stays, and then disappears. As if it was a fly or a butterfly in this room. In the same way, it seems to happen in three-dimensional mind space. Not physical space, but mind space. So, with the physical body and energetic body, we are talking about three-dimensional space. But then, this awareness changes the whole game. Because I think everyone here has awakened and opened the first bhumi and even more. So you know that through that insight that this basic space is like a game changer in this sense. We are no longer, somebody who sees that, has that shift, understands how this whole yoga or dharma thing is a solution to existential problems. So what happens there is that we remove the fixation, the selfing happening in three-dimensional mind. And what happens there, what the removing of fixation is, that when the pop happens, we enter this zero-dimensional space that is not like three-dimensional space with floor and ceiling and walls. That's the game changer. And it keeps changing as long as we practice and keep having shifts. So we become untied from being located in time and space. That's what selflessness means, emptiness. Knowing ourselves and our mental phenomena, selfless, empty, empty of an entity. And the curious thing is that physical and energetic body, the longer we practice, like several people here have practiced for years, it just comes to, you feel it from somebody who has practiced. You kind of feel this existential solution oozing through that kind of a person who's a practitioner and has practiced correctly. And somebody like Padmasambhava, Guru Rinpoche, Yeshe Tsogyal, any Mahasiddha, being in contact with such masters. Some have the fortune of having a Mahasiddha Guru in the flesh, in physical body, but that is quite rare. To have a Guru in the flesh and to have a karmic connection with such a Guru. But even if we practice, like in Open Heart, we practice with Guru Rinpoche and Yeshe Tsogyal, when we tune in with them and are together with them, practice Guru Yoga, in other words, we also, the main idea, the main purpose of that practice is to know ourselves. Which means being zero-dimensional, not being tied with our beliefs and sense of self, but rather seeing through that, through those biases, identifications. Solid body, soft heart, both at the same time, yes. Those are not two separate things, although can be viewed separately and discussed separately. In experience, both are the same, interconnected. Soft heart. Which means that this basic awareness is alive, brims with life, just like nature does. Plants, animals, just like our body does. You know, people do terrible things to their bodies with self-based thinking and negative thinking, negative emotions. We can ruin our health. We can ruin that aliveness in our body. But as long as we are alive, the physical body, as long as the pulse keeps going, this aliveness is there in the body. It's the same aliveness. That's it. Warmth of the body, pulse, breath. Both the physical as well as energetic flow in the body. So we have spent a few minutes feeling into the solidity of the body and softness of the heart. And now, how about our mind? We have gone through these two characteristics. Is your mind clear? There can be thoughts coming and going, that's perfectly fine. I'm not talking about being thoughtless, but just the clarity of mind, clear-minded. So that when we feel our body, it is really simple and natural, intimate. When we hear sounds, the same thing, direct, intimate, simple. When we see and look at things, again, direct, intimate, simple, as if there is no distance. Clear mind, naturally knowing, naturally cognizing mind. That knows its own natural condition. And when the senses are open, it is totally fine to sit if you have tired eyes. It's perfectly fine to sit with closed eyes. But if our eyes is open, it's just simply seeing. And when ears are open, sounds are heard. When we touch, when there is sense of touching, just that simple, direct sensation. Same with talking, thinking, feeling, doing. Among activities. So when this natural condition of clear mind, soft heart and solid body is recognized, just Just stay. Thoughts will come, memories will come, reactions to thoughts and reactions to memories will happen. When such things happen, just be together with those things, all those things that arise. Being together. Being together with mental things that arise is vipassana, clear seeing, supreme seeing, or in other words, Buddhist meditation, vipassana. And through this togetherness with things that arise, happens a release of self-investment in those reactions, in those habit patterns. Release of self-investment. If there are thoughts that come and go, we remember things, but there is no reaction, then that self in those phenomena has already been released. And when the self is released from mental phenomena, then it's again a game changer. Thoughts and emotions cease to be problems, enemies, challenges, obstructions. And they become allies. So when something arises, be together with it. Everything that arises, there is wisdom hidden in it. And freedom hidden in everything in the mind. We have now sat here for an hour and 20 minutes, so let's take a 15-minute toilet break and then continue a little bit more. Okay? There is one toilet here. How many upstairs?
There's one upstairs as well.
One, yeah. And the next?
I don't think there's on the top floor anything.
Only two toilets. Okay. So 15 minutes. Then we continue.
olin vähän jättäytynyt siihen.
Joo.
Niin, mut sit taas sitä kautta oli niinku hyvin toi Feeniks,
Joo.
niinku hyvinvointikeskus pieni.
Okei.
Niin siellä on just sellainen, että siihen mahtuu ehkä just 8 henkeä siihen saliin maksimissaan. Niin se on sellainen riittävä. En mä tiedä, tuuks mä pitämään niinku vakituiseen. Se voi olla, että sit jatkossakin tuu pitämään. Mut siis se oli niinku mulle sellainen niinku vähän pakkojuttu, että mä saisin niinku itteni niinku ite tekemään.
Okei.
Niinku useammin luokkaa.
Justiinsa.
Et semmonen tiiäks niinku mä ajattelin, että
Mutta siis et ole suunnitellut sitten kuitenkaan sillä tavalla kauheasti.
en tiedä vielä, että millaiseksi se niinku muodostuu vielä.
Justiin.
Et mitä se sitten mitä mä haluan sisistää, miten mä haluan. Se on niinku vielä semmonen niinku
No mut se.
pussi, mihin käydään ruokaa. Ja sit silleen, että no tässä olisi tällaisia, että no mennään tarpeen mukaan, että otetaan sijoituskytä.
Niin, aivan. Niin. Joo. No mut se sitten on kuulostaa kyllä.
Mut sitä ei saa olla siinä.
Niin sä teet.
Niin,
Miten
sitten.
sä energiaa?
Joo, siinä sivussa. Ja sit nyt on ruvennut tulla jotenkin niinku vielä enemmän niinku kyselee.
Okei.
Et ne tulee joko niinku sitten hoidon jälkeen tai sitten niinku tarpeen kautta tai sitten oikein kysytään, että saanko tulla keskustelemaan. Et se on siis kiva. Joo. Sitä teemapäiviä. Joo, on teemapäiviä. Joskus hoidetaan kaikkien poodet. Sitten hoidetaan joskus kaikkien kynäpää. Mä oon niinku huvittunut siitä, että olen mä itse tilannut ne vai opettaakseni itseäni, että näin hoidetaan kyynärpäätä. Niin just, en mä tiedä.
Mutta on kyllä hoidokoneessa sitten niinku se.
Oh.
Just. Joo.
Niin, tässä on väliskin tapahtuu vielä uuden suklaisielun itselleni lisää. Mä haluan harjavaulassakin koko lähellä silleen. Joo, mut sit taas se on niin, tää oli huvittavaa, kun Kim oli laittanut sen, että miten niinku parisuhde voi olla, ei voi olla sellainen niinku oppiväylä. Niin mä oon huomannut, niinku, että jostain syystä niinku kaikki mitä on ollut, niin ne on ollut just niillä, että haetaan se oma core value ja sit niin mennään siihen. Ja sit siellä vai, joo ei se kestänyt sitä, mutta todistaaks toi? Niin se on hämmentävää, että sit oikeesti niinku, että niinku joissain yksilöissä on. Ei mut hirveen pohdiskeleva. Jännää miten niinku mulla on kuulemma muuttaa tosi nopeasti ja hän oli junailussakin yhden niistä jutuista, hän oli vielä vihalla kahden. Mut se oli mun mielestä silleen niinku kiitos.
Koska ei sitä voi olla, jos on toinen.
Ei, kun mä olisin sanonutkin, että mä mulla on tää harmoni tästä ja mä sit en joogaa ja mä sit niinku mä oon niinku siis meditoin näinkin välillä. Et sit se vaan, että joku se tarkas. Ai, vieläkin siinä.
Mutta ihan jännä.
Milloin sä oot, Päivi, tullut mun ekalle kurssille?
Sitten me puhuttiin just hiljattain, se on 2013 ehkä, siis Vaasassa se.
Ai niin, se oli se. Joo.
Jouluvuosi.
Lähtisitko Helena ton oven kiinni tosta? Okay, let's continue sitting about 10 minutes and then we finish the day with basic prayers. So I was talking about the 3 basic characteristics. And also how to recognize that, how to recognize those, and how to integrate our mind, our karmic body, our kleshas, meaning all those things charged with a self, how to integrate them into this natural state. In other words, how to realize emptiness. That's really all that there is to this task or to Buddhist meditation. That's it. There's nothing else. If we manage to do that, then we become liberated, realize our Buddhahood, become Buddhas. And that's the sole meaning of a Buddha. You know, there are many miraculous stories about yogis and miraculous stories about Mahasiddhas. Well, if such things happen, they happen. But, you know, we might as well just not discuss about miraculous, magical stuff. You know, it is not of no importance whatsoever. What is of importance is to recognize the natural state and see how everything that happens in the mind is empty. And that's the way how to jump from the wheel of samsara, jump from the wheel of transmigrating in the 6 realms. That's the way how to become fully satisfied existentially. So, when we come to that kind of maturity, full maturity, it's not magic that we learn. We don't become anything else except we know the reality of our existence instead of the dream of the existence. So we don't acquire skills, you know, magical skills or mundane skills through practice. We don't acquire money and fortune through practice. We don't acquire anything else except knowledge of our reality. So if we want to acquire money, fortune, skills of any type, if we want to acquire anything else, then there are other ways to go about it. Okay? If we want to make money, for example, and become rich, there are better ways, more skillful ways to go about it than sitting and doing retreats. I'm just talking about this, that we know what we are exactly doing, because this is not always clarified. Because there are these legends and myths and magical stories. But we might as well leave them all aside. With love, with sincerity, I'm bowing at the feet of Guru Rinpoche and Yeshe Tsongyal, Yeshe Ma, and seeking for your blessings for us practicing these 2 days on this retreat, for the sake of liberation of all sentient beings. then let's chant the basic prayers. I take refuge in the Guru. I take refuge in his pure land. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. I take refuge in the Guru. I take refuge in his pure land. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. I take refuge in the Guru. I take refuge in his pure land. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. free. May all beings be free. May all beings be free. With each prayer, feel the prayer, the inner meaning of the prayer, the mind of the prayer, energy of the prayer. All beings are free.